In April 1912, the world stood in awe of a ship that represented the height of human achievement. The Sank The Titanic was not just another ocean liner. It was a symbol of modern engineering, luxury, and technological confidence. Newspapers praised it. The public admired it. Many believed it was the safest ship ever built. Some even called it unsinkable. But it was this very confidence, this belief that disaster was nearly impossible, that played a crucial role in the tragedy that followed. The sinking of the Titanic was not only a maritime accident, it was a powerful lesson about the dangers of overconfidence. At the beginning of the 20th century, technology was advancing rapidly. New machines, larger buildings, and faster transportation gave people a growing belief that human innovation could overcome almost any natural challenge. The Titanic was built during this era of optimism, designed with 16 watertight compartments and advanced safety features. It was believed that even if several compartments were flooded, the ship would remain afloat. This design was impressive, but the way it was perceived created a dangerous mindset. Overconfidence began at the highest levels. The ship's owners and designers promoted its safety so strongly that risks seemed almost irrelevant. Safety features were viewed as proof that the worst could not happen, rather than protection in case it did. This attitude influenced many important decisions, including the number of lifeboats carried. Although the Titanic met the legal requirements of the time, it carried lifeboats for only about half of the people on board. The belief was that the ship itself was the primary lifeboat, and that a full evacuation would never be necessary. This confidence also affected the ship's operation during the voyage. As the Titanic crossed the North Atlantic, it received multiple wireless warnings from nearby ships about heavy ice in the area. Icebergs had been reported directly along the ship's route. Under cautious conditions, such warnings would normally lead to a reduction in speed or a change in course. Instead, the Titanic continued traveling at near full speed. Captain Edward Smith, a highly experienced commander, chose not to slow significantly. At the time, maintaining speed was common practice, but the decision reflected a belief that the ship could handle any situation it encountered. The conditions, on the night of April 14th, made this decision even more dangerous. The sea was unusually calm, and the night was moonless. Without waves breaking against icebergs, they were harder to spot. The calm water also created a visual illusion, making the horizon difficult to read. In such conditions, speed reduced reaction time. When the iceberg was finally seen, the crew had only seconds to respond. Even the handling of iceberg warnings reflected overconfidence. The Titanic's wireless operators were busy sending passenger messages, which were a source of revenue. Some ice warnings were delivered to the bridge, but others were delayed or not treated as urgent. At one point, a nearby ship attempted to warn the Titanic directly about dangerous ice, but the message was interrupted because the operator was focused on clearing a backlog of private transmissions. The danger was known, but it was not treated as immediate. Preparation for emergencies also showed signs of complacency. There had been no full lifeboat drill for passengers before departure. Many crew members were unfamiliar with their evacuation responsibilities. When the time came to lower the boats, confusion and hesitation slowed the process. Some lifeboats were launched partially empty because both passengers and crew believed the ship was still safe. It was difficult for many people to accept that the unsinkable ship was actually in danger. When the iceberg struck at 11:40 p.m., the damage was more severe than expected. The collision opened multiple compartments along the ship's side. The watertight bulkheads, though advanced for their time, did not extend high enough. As water filled the forward compartments, it spilled over into the next sections, creating a chain reaction. The design that had inspired so much confidence turned out to have critical limitations. Even after the collision, overconfidence affected the response. Many passengers were not immediately informed of the seriousness of the situation. Some were told there was no real danger. Others hesitated to leave the warmth and safety of the ship for small boats in the dark ocean. Precious time was lost while the reality of the situation slowly became clear. Class divisions also influenced survival. First-class passengers had easier access to information and lifeboats, while many third-class passengers faced confusion, language barriers, and difficulty navigating the ship's layout. The evacuation was not only slow but uneven, reflecting social structures that prioritized comfort and order over speed and equal access. Meanwhile, distressed rockets were fired into the night sky. The nearby ship, Californian, saw the rockets, but did not interpret them as signals of a major emergency. Its wireless operator had gone to sleep and was not listening for messages. Help was relatively close, but misinterpretation and lack of urgency prevented a faster response. As the bow sank deeper into the water, the stern rose high into the air. At approximately 2:20 a.m. on April 15, 1912, the Titanic broke apart and disappeared beneath the Atlantic Ocean. More than 1,500 people lost their lives. Many died not from the sinking itself, but from exposure to the freezing water. The global reaction was one of shock and disbelief. How could the most advanced ship in the world sink on its very first voyage? Investigations in both the United States and Britain revealed a pattern. The disaster was not caused by a single failure. It was the result of confidence that turned into complacency. Confidence in design, confidence in reputation, confidence in routine practices, and confidence that the worst-case scenario would never occur. The tragedy led to major changes in maritime safety. New international regulations required ships to carry enough lifeboats for everyone on board. Continuous wireless monitoring became mandatory so that distress calls would never be missed. Regular emergency drills were introduced. The International Ice Patrol was established to track icebergs and warn ships of danger. The story of the Titanic remains powerful because its lesson extends far beyond ships and oceans. It shows how success and technological achievement can create a false sense of security. When people believe a system cannot fail, they stop preparing for failure. Warnings are minimized. Risks are accepted. Small precautions seem unnecessary until the unexpected happens. Overconfidence does not appear suddenly. It grows slowly, reinforced by past success and public praise. The Titanic represented the pride of an era that believed human progress had conquered nature. But the Atlantic Ocean reminded the world that nature still demanded respect. More than a century later, the Titanic is remembered not only as a maritime disaster but as a symbol of human ambition and its limits. The ship itself was remarkable, but the mindset surrounding it proved dangerous. The belief that it was unsinkable influenced decisions about speed, safety, communication, and preparedness. The iceberg was only the trigger. The real cause of the tragedy was the confidence that reduced caution at every level. It was the assumption that the extraordinary ship did not need extraordinary precautions. The sinking of the Titanic stands as a timeless warning. Progress and innovation are powerful, but they must be balanced with humility. Every system has limits. Every design has weaknesses. Every success should increase caution, not reduce Italiano. The overconfidence that surrounded the Titanic did not just sink a ship, it changed how the world thinks about safety, risk, and responsibility. It remains a lasting reminder that the greatest danger is not always the obstacle ahead, but the belief that nothing can go wrong.